Good morning, my friends. It's Matthew Street, and as always, welcome to my channel. I truly appreciate you being here. And folks, I really wasn't going to do a video today, but then late yesterday, I received a message from one of my YouTube subscriber friends here. Name is Rich, Wink55. You may remember Rich from a video not too long ago where he suggested I rank the Beatles album covers. Well, Rich just out of the blue sent me a little message, texted me, and it was a video. And the video said, "Dad proving that the Beatles are the best." And I looked at it real quick, and it was an older gentleman in the image, so I thought he was talking about his own father, like maybe he was having a talk with his own dad about the Beatles and their impact culturally, musically, etc., and that he wanted to show me that his dad knew how great the Beatles were or something. I'm not even sure if, how old Rich's dad would be now, if he's still with us, God bless him. But anyway, it quickly became apparent that that's not what the video was. Rich had gotten this video from, either YouTube or his streams, Facebook or one of those. And basically it was a gentleman with a British accent. I'm not sure what the source is from, but the man was explaining why he felt the Beatles were the best. And his exact reasoning for why the Beatles are the best are the reason why I'm doing this video. Let me tell my story first, and then I'll tie it into the video Rich sent me. When I was growing up, like many of you out there, don't forget, I'm an old fogey, okay? I've been into the Beatles since 1964. You know the story. You know about this album. You know about this album with my parents, okay? Played them constantly. And not only when I was a little kid in the 60s, but throughout my entire youth, preteen, teenage years, this stuff was cranking in my house nonstop. My mom and dad and my two little brothers, I have two younger brothers, I'm the oldest, they heard this stuff all the time, this soundtrack all the time, because these are the U.S. albums. This is what I had in the 60s and 70s, something new all the time. The Beatles' second album, constantly. I don't have it in front of me, but you know them all the Sgt. Pepper, White Album, Abbey Road, Magical Mystery Tour, Let It Be. They were cranking. There they are. They were everything. They were cranking, folks. They were cranking. This one especially, one of my favorites, Rubber Soul, Revolver. I was also playing compilations nonstop. I was playing stuff like Hollywood Bowl. I had the Alpha Omega, the bootleg unauthorized compilation before these two officials came out. But then when these came out in 73, I was playing these. I burned these out. I swear to God, my first copies of these, my parents got me on vinyl, burned out, played incessantly. I was even playing stuff like in 76 when rock and roll music came out, incessantly. Love Song 77, incessantly. What I'm saying is, folks, I don't think I played this one too much, but you get the, But anyway, through the 60s and 70s, it was nothing but Beatles, okay? I didn't realize it. I just loved the Beatles. I loved other music too, but you know my Beatle fandom. Playing it all the time. I never thought much of it. Not too long ago, I'm on a road trip with my youngest brother. Now, he's 5 years younger than me. He likes the Beatles, but he's certainly not a fanatic like me. I don't even think he owns one Beatles CD, record, or anything. He just, well, yeah, I like the Beatles because you listen to the Beatles. Okay, you like the Beatles, and, so he's aware of them and whatnot. He's from a different generation. He's kind of more of an 80s guy. He came up a little later than me, so he was more into the late 70s into the early 80s stuff, not the 60s like me. Anyway, we're riding on a long road trip together once, and I decided to play some Beatles stuff. And I played Help. And so my favorite songs on Help are like I Need You and The Night Before, Another Girl, You're Gonna Lose That Girl. And I'm playing them all. And I think it was The Night Before that came on. He goes, so he wanted to start quizzing me about Beatles. He goes, oh, how high did that get in the top 40? I go, oh, The Night Before? It wasn't a single. It was never released single. What? He says, I thought that was a big smash hit. He says, you used to play it all the time. I used to hear it nonstop. I said, nope. I said, and it really, it's just an album track here on the Help album. And then he says to me, we're listening, and then In My Life came on. Now, In My Life, everybody knows In My Life. He goes, oh, that's a great, he goes, did that make top 5 or probably made number 1, right? I go, In My Life? I go, no, it wasn't even a single. He goes, what? He goes, oh, I could have sworn that was a number 1 song for the Beatles. I said, nope, wasn't even released as a single. Drive My Car, same thing. You've Got to Hide Your Love Away, which is also on the Help album. Same thing. Drive My Car's on the British. I don't have Yesterday and Today in front of me. But anyway, you get the idea. And even later Beatles stuff with a little help from my friends, stuff like A Day in the Life, Obladi Oblada, Fool on the Hill, Back in the USSR, Old Brown Shoe, Here Comes the Sun, he swore up and down. Here Comes the Sun had been like number 1 for like 5 weeks or something. I said, it wasn't a single. It wasn't. Octopus's Garden. He thought Ringo's Octopus's Garden had to make top 40. Nope, didn't make top. The point is, folks, he was absolutely amazed at all the stuff that the Beatles had released that were not hits. He said, he says, growing up, he says, I heard it coming out of your room so much, these songs over and over and over again, that every time I hear a Beatles song now, he says, I just assume it had to be in the top 40, top 10, number 1, because they were so important in our world. And I says, no. I says, the Beatles only had like 20 number 1s. They only had, and I explained to him which songs were in the top 40, which songs made top 100, how they had, I gave him some stats and things, but he was absolutely floored. And folks, the point is, it made me realize then, even before Rich sent me this video, that, what other artist, what other band, but certainly what other artist has songs that can be put on greatest hits compilations like this that weren't even officially hits? They were not even released as singles. They didn't even chart. And yet they're on here and people think they were the biggest hits of all time. They're so well beloved. What other artist has that? I don't think there's any. I think the Beatles are the only one that have released music that is just so timeless, so perfect, so beautiful, that the majority of their entire catalog could be a number 1 hit, could be a top 10 hit, could be a top 40 hit at the minimum. No other artist has that, folks. And that was the video Rich sent me just hours ago. It was this gentleman with a British accent, don't know the source, but thanks to Rich for sending it. The man was explaining that exact same thing that me and my brother had that conversation not too long ago. He was saying that what other band, that's why the Beatles are the best, what other band or artist has songs, so many songs that were not singles, were not played like that as on the top 40, and yet they are beloved and they are thought of by most of the population as being big, gigantic hits for the Beatles. Just another little musing this morning to share with you as you wake your little wakey eyes and wake up as to the greatness of the Beatles. So have a Java, have a coffee or a tea, whatever you want, and toast the greatness of the greatest musical artist of all time. Another factoid that proves our point. Thank you all. Love you. Bye-bye.